Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and today we're going to go over the notes from the live letter 9 that was just aired today on October 19th of 2013 with Yoshi P and Foxclon, of course, as well as they had a few guests, a guy from Theatrum who, Theatrhythm? I don't know how to pronounce it, Theatrhythm. I'm sure I'll get nailed for that later, but it doesn't really bother me that much. And also Mr. Housing himself, the guy who's the head of the housing department. So let's actually go right into it. There was actually not a lot of non-housing related questions and answers here, and I was pretty disappointed about it, but I'm here to do a video for you guys, and that's, what matters, in case just to get you all caught up on what was said about housing and some other things. There were some actual important things that they talked about, but I feel like they just went way too much into housing during this live letter. But before I say anything, we do have another live letter coming next month, and hopefully there, he said we'll see more about the extreme primal battles, the new dungeons, the new bosses that they're implementing, Good King Mago Mag. We'll see a lot more of the actual 2.1 content in the mid-November live letter, so stay tuned for information about that in the future. So we're actually just going to run down the official forum posts. There was actually a great live translation from Reinheart. I'm going to leave his Twitch and his Twitter in the description below so you guys can follow him. He does great updates. He does translations of the Japanese forum posts for Final Fantasy XIV. Whenever there's something relevant to talk about, he pretty much gets it translated for us that don't speak Japanese, and he's a great person for this community. So definitely support him, follow him. His Twitter and Twitch are in the description below. Anyway, let's run down these official translated posts, even though Reinhardt's were definitely a bit more involved with this. These are just a lot clearer to talk about. So in regards to the Duty Finder, they're talking about things that they've already spoken about a little bit before, such as the Party Recruitment Bulletin Board. This is actually going to be a way to find parties within your own server. That way you don't have to, go crazy shouting in the most populated zone. And that's basically all it's going to be. You indicate your objective, for example, clearing the main scenario, party play, emphasis on speed run. So that way you can find speedruns, or you can find people willing to do the main scenario or party on your server. I think that's a good addition to content, sort of to separate the whole Duty Finder being cross-server versus meeting people on your own server ways of approaching the game. Updates to the Duty Finder, they didn't really have much here, just that making it so that matching occurs based on categorical levels. This is basically for the random matching that they're going to be implementing, so things like random matching, guild has leveling dungeons, high-level dungeon story, other content. So really that it's just talking about the random matching and how you'll be able to get tombstones for each category once a day to encourage people to do a high-level dungeon, to do a story dungeon, to do a guild hest, to do them with the random Duty Finder once a day. So I don't know how that's going to actually play out, but that's what they're planning on using it for. Now, increasing the methods of acquiring elegant tombstones, that's just a matter of them adding content such as the treasure hunting, the new dungeons, the crystal tower, the daily quest. That's really all it is there's just going to be so much more content. It'll be easier to obtain the current tombstones in the game. Now, regarding the economy was the next thing that they spoke about. Now, this was a big problem. It didn't really seem like a Q&A here. It seemed like Square Enix made up questions and then answered their own questions. It didn't really feel like they were pulling questions. They may have just been grouping up the same questions into a category and trying to answer them all at once. It doesn't really feel that way, though. I like it when it just reads a normal question. This literally just says, regarding the economy. Regarding the amount of gil obtained by players, we recently increased the amount you obtain through instances. They're going to continue to monitor this. And also, they said that apparently gatherers took too long to level up, and it ended up overflowing the market with low-level items. I guess that's a problem, but they said that they're going to be doing things to, quote-unquote, invigorate the economy, so stay tuned. I don't know what they're going to do other than add daily quests as more guild generation, maybe just... I know that they said they want the low-level crafting items to be more useful for housing, so expect that. Expect to have a lot of housing materials be made from like mithril ores and copper ores and things like that. Really common items that you can find on the marketplace, so that'll be good. Next, regarding operations, this was just talking about the different teams that work on different tasks of Square Enix. It's just talking about how tiny mistakes can lead to big mistakes, and that GMs actually were having an issue on the back end side where Dragon Quest X and Final Fantasy XIV GMs were getting mixed cases. So that's really all that spoke about. There wasn't really anything content related in this. If you want to read the extra few sentences that they included that I didn't mention, I will include a link to the official letter as well as Reinhardt's translation in the description below. In regards to cheating, they're talking about the sort of cat and mouse game that they have with botters where they stop botters from doing things one way, botters find a new way of doing it, and that they're trying to look for a way of standing one step ahead of the teleporters and the RMTs, saying that the reason why RMT are actually coming to this game in such high quantity is because there's not too many pay-to-play subscription model games in the world right now. Most games are going over to free-to-play, and it's harder for RMT to make money in those games, so they're flocking to games like Final Fantasy XIV and WoW. So apparently that's a big problem, so they're doing all they can to try and prevent cheating. So yeah, that is really all that I can say about that. It's just them reassuring players that they're trying to take action. They do not approve of players using third-party programs, so be careful if you're recording content you're using third-party programs. Now, network lag in Europe. This is mostly with the 90,000 errors and some other problems that European players in particular have been having problems with random disconnects from the game. They say that they want Europeans to keep providing their ISPs and their specs that they are using and network cards and things like that. So that way they can sort of try and hone in on what's actually causing the problem. So if you're from Europe and you're having lag issues, be sure to go to the forums and post that sort of information under I guess the bugs is where you could put it. I guess that would be the best place to put it. Now, this was actually a really big important piece of information is regarding War Dragoon and other job class adjustments. Now, in regards to War, they said that turns 1 through 4 specifically had mechanics that did not favor Warrior, and they actually favored taking a Paladin over a Warrior. So they're going to, instead of making adjustments to the content, they're going to make adjustments to Warrior so that they're better. This actually falls in line with what I said, that Warriors sort of just need a few fine-tunements for progression, but nothing too over the top. So, because at maximum gear level, they're perfectly fine right now. However, the problem is all that means is you're going to play Paladin until you get maximum gear level and switch to Warrior when you're already face rolling the content. It's pretty underwhelming if you ask me. So they have a few things that they're going to adjust with Warriors to make them more in line with Paladins. Adjustments to the Warrior stun also. The reason why they gave the Warriors the off the global cooldown stun was so that they could do a stun off the global cooldown, which they considered an advantage over Shield Bash. However, it's 30 seconds of a cooldown, and Shield Bash Shield Bash can literally be spammed every 2.5 seconds. So, but it looks like they're gonna reduce the cooldown of the stun. I don't know exactly what they're gonna do, but it says they're just going to make adjustments to it. They also have a number of other adjustments they're gonna make. They said, according to Reinhardt's live translation, they have 7 total topics they're hoping to address with Warrior. So we're gonna see a lot of Warrior adjustments coming in 2.1, guys. So it should be pretty good. In regards to Dragoon, now they only had to say one thing: jump animations. They don't want to give jump animations an invincibility frame because then people will abuse it to avoid certain mechanics in fights. So instead, they're just going to reduce the animation time on it. That way it's more viable, and it should give Dragoons a little bit of a buff to their damage, since all that time when they're jumping in the air, they're not doing other damage. So that, in my opinion, is a good change. It should have been that way already, but at least they're working on it now. As for job balancing, certain jobs do much more damage than other jobs due to having access to cross-class abilities, so they're going to adjust cross-class abilities. So you may get new cross-class abilities, and you may get old ones. I don't know exactly what they're going to change here, but it's good to see that they're thinking about what type of cross-class abilities people are getting, what cross-class abilities are even available for certain jobs. I can guarantee you this falls right in line with the next topic: Bards. They feel that Bards are a little too strong due to the fact that they have a 100% uptime on the boss while still avoiding all the mechanics. On some level, I agree with this. It's not really fair that Bards literally have 100% uptime on a boss. There's never a time where a Bard has to stop DPSing and avoid a mechanic. There's no time for that. Black Mages have to stop casting. Summoners have to maybe use Ruin 2 instead of Ruin. So they're the closest things to a Bard, but normally they still need that time to move. They can't like recast their dots without Swift Cast. So I do agree with it. I still think Bards are the lowest DPS at maximum potential in the game. Right now at this gear level, Bards are extremely strong, and that's where the balancing seems to be being done. At this gear level, Bards are strong. At the average gear level being like about 60 to 70, that's where the Bards are really, really their strongest. They pick up most of their strength there. But we'll see how it plays out. This might lead to just Bards getting rebuffed in 2.2, depending on how severe these nerfs are. Bards also have access to have way more DPS cross-class abilities than anybody else, so I expect we'll see some changes there. They're also saying that melee DPS have to avoid too many mechanics, and it's really hurting their DPS, so that they're going to be making more adjustments to that in the future battles. So that's not all the changes they're making, but those are just some examples that they were giving us. That's really, honestly, the most important note to me that came out of this entire thing. Pretty much everything else from this point on, guys, is housing. I'm sorry to say, if you're not interested in housing, you can cut the video right now. We're just going to be going over some basic things. I'm not going to talk about them too much. I'm going to roll through them because it's like 6 pages of housing notes. Will there be maintenance fees or taxing? There will not be other costs. So if you didn't like tax, if you weren't a fan of taxing in any other game, it won't be there. What are the requirements you need to fulfill to have a house? You just need to have a certain rank of your free company. What rank? We don't know quite yet. Oh, actually, they spoke about Odin Behemoth Fates. They're going to change them so that they're always visible. They're going to change the priority. So they heard us on that, guys. There's not really much more to say. They also explained how the actual grids work and what causes them to disappear. They gave us the exact answer, which I really appreciated, and what they're going to do to change it. So thank you, Square Enix, for that. That's very reassuring. Still need the 30 buffs debuffs thing, though. Was very sad to not hear about that here. How much land are you planning to implement within a housing area? There will be about 30 houses per instance. If all 30 of those houses get built, you can get moved to another instance. Then they showed us all the housing areas. There's nothing, there's no Q&A there. They just showed us all the housing areas, Gridania, I don't know why I said it like that, Ulda, and Limsa. So they showed us all those. Can you explain how exactly gatherers and crafters will impact the exterior and interior of the house? They gave us this: 85% of housing will consist of crafting items. So gatherers will need to gather the items and crafters will need to craft them. So pretty important. I don't know where the other 15% is. Maybe those are just items that you buy and you don't need crafters for them. Will you be able to change the background music in your house? It won't be ready for 2.1, but they're going to add a jukebox that you can actually play music on in your house. We'll be able to store items within the furniture. They said not right away. They want to check the server load on housing, so expect it sometime after 2.1. What happens when you have a house and you disband your free company? You cannot disband your free company until you sell your house, until you abandon your house. I don't want to say, I guess selling your house is technically still abandoning your house. Odd choice of words. Will we receive a resting bonus in your house? Yes. Very simple answer. Nothing more to say about that. Will we be able to return straight to your house? They are trying to make it possible to put an aetheryte inside your house as a piece of furniture that you can actually attune to and set your home point to. They said it may or may not be ready for 2.1. It's cutting it close. Will we be able to place bulletin boards and signs? They said it's going to be a feature in 2.2 where they can leave a comment on their free company bulletin board in front of the house. That's only page 2. We still got like 4 pages of housing stuff, guys. Can you move or reconstruct your house? In 2.2, yes, you will be able to. We have indoor gardens within our housing. They have plans to implement that in 2.2, where they can place a field and garden where you can grow very rare items that can only be obtained through gardening. So if you liked it in 11, or if you just like the concept of gardening for rare items, you will be able to do it in 2.2. Can you make an area in your housing area to practice battle skills? They want to add wooden dummies, yeah. So even though they're all over yours here, they do want to add the training dummies to your housing so you can actually test your DPS inside your housing. If all the other large-sized houses are taken, will you be adding additional large-sized lands immediately? They said they're going to confirm the opening of other areas, such, I don't know what that means. We have plans to add more lands after we confirm the opening of the other areas. So up in the air, I guess. They have plans. Yes, they're going to add more large houses if they all get bought out. That's pretty much what they're saying. Are there as there are differences in economies from world to world, will the housing costs differ by world? It'll be the same for all worlds, he says. It's not like every world is going to have a super different cost for the housing. It will be auctioned off, it says, which is a little weird since it almost sounds like it's a player-to-player thing. But it'll go from a high price down to a lower price. But if you're waiting for it to go down to a lower price, there's a chance that it'll get bought up before you can actually get it. So I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out. It seems like we're going to be fighting for land for a big portion of this. We'll be able to place furniture outside the house. He said there will be 2 types of furniture, inside and outside housing furniture. Awesome. Will you be able to stack furniture or place objects on top of furniture? Yes, you'll be able to do that. So you can place a lamp on top of a crafted table. Makes sense to me. Be able to see the sunlight come through the windows? Yes, but you will not be able to look at the scenery outside of your house while you are inside of it. Unfortunate, but perhaps they could fix that in a later patch. Don't know how quite yet. Can you expand from a medium to a large size from a small size? So can you expand the size of your house? When it's built, no. You basically have to build a new one on open land in order for this to do that. So once you build your house, initially, you're going to have to knock it all down and build it from scratch again if you want to build a bigger house. So that's all I really have to say about that. If I recall correctly, they said maybe in a future update you'll be able to do that. Will we be able to sell our houses, including the furniture? No, you can only sell the land rights, which means you cannot sell a pre-built house to somebody. You can only sell the very land on which the house actually sits on. So wow, that's 3 pages. We're on to the next one, guys. We're blowing through these pretty quick. We'll be able to have individual rooms in your free company house. They said in 2.2, yes, it's not as good as individual housing, but it's a start as long as we can edit the rooms, but we'll see about that. Will you be able to prevent free company members from taking the furniture? Yes, you will be allowed to set permissions on who gets to change the furniture. So this isn't like, oh, I want to move this. You need permission to change the furniture, guys. Are you looking into mini games for your housing while they're inside their housing that they can gather and play? They don't have any specific plans, but they said they'd like to start thinking about it. So hopefully we can get something like Triple Triad card games or Tic-Tac-Toe or something. I don't know. What type of facilities will we have access to within a housing area other than the market board and retainer? We have plans to add facilities such as crafting facilities and NPCs you can buy crafting materials from. Hey, I'm not complaining. That means we don't have to go to the guilds all the way across the world whenever we want to do multiple crafting classes. I'm perfectly okay with that. What are the advantages of making things in your underground workshop? This was pretty good when they were planning on making it so you can build airships and access content. They said they want to have this out before the next expansion, so don't expect the airship building to be anytime soon, guys. When will the Chocobo farm be added? The current planned time is 2.3, so probably about 5 to 6 months from now. Right now when this video is posted, probably about 5 to 6 months would be my guess on that. Can't wait for a Chocobo farm, assuming that means it's like Chocobo raising like we were expecting. Yes, I'm very excited for that. Are there fish in the water sources? Yes, and you can fish in the housing areas. I'm perfectly okay with that. Depends on what kind of fish we can catch, but I like that. I just like that we can actually... I wonder if they'll add them to the fishing logs or if it'll only be... who knows? Are there any plans to implement any seasonal exteriors to the house, such as like an All Saints Wake, like a giant pumpkin on the front yard? They said, we do have plans to implement this, but they have ideas for the seasonal items, but they're sort of hesitant about adding them right away because they don't want people to be out of season with their houses. So I honestly don't see that's a reason why, because people in, at least around here where I live, people leave their Christmas lights up until June. So why the heck not? Adds more realism if people can just leave their ornaments up as long as they want, right? So will there be content when you can raise the monsters that drop materials? They said they currently don't have plans for that. That would be pretty difficult to do in all actuality. Like, how would you go about actually capturing the enemy and then raising it? It'd be like the Chocobo farm, but maybe you could, I don't know, maybe you could just raise a bunch of raptors and kill them off to get skins every once in a while. I don't see how all the effort is worth the return unless you get a crazy amount of raptor skins, but I don't know. I'm not the one designing it, so we'll see. About how much furniture will we have access to when the housing system is implemented? There are 40 exterior pieces of furniture and 180 interior pieces. That's a lot, guys. And that's not including the parts from the housing exterior, so that's a lot, guys. You're going to be able to make your house pretty unique, it sounds like. All right, next page, guys. It's going to take a second to load. Here we go. Can you lay in beds and hammocks in your house? Yes, but funnily enough, and yes, funnily is a word now, in the live letter itself, the translation said they're going to add a sleep motion, but they're going to wait till 2.2 for that. So apparently a sleep motion can be abused. I don't know how, but they're just going to have to test it, make sure the sleep motion isn't abused in any way by the RMTs, I guess. Will we be able to place mannequins within the house to equip armor? They said sometime after 2.2, so not for a pretty long time, guys. Can you place pictures on the furnishings? If so, will it be possible to take a screenshot and use it for decoration? Yes, however, it won't be possible to decorate pictures with screenshots. So you can place up pictures, but not your own personal screenshots. That would be pretty cool, though. They should look into trying to figure that out. I really have no idea how they would do it. It's just an idea, but it would be really hard to implement. Let's say we place walls within a large room to separate them in the smaller rooms. We'll be able to place doors within the walls. You'll not be able to place doors within those walls that separate the room, so sorry, guys. Can you set individual entrance restrictions for large-sized houses that have 2 floors and a basement? No. Anybody can go anywhere in the house. You can't say, no, you're not allowed in the basement. Or, no, you're not allowed in the attic. You can't do that. Will there be a feature where we can collect gil from free company members to purchase a house? No. And I'm assuming that... I don't know if there's any specific reason why they're not implementing that. But, I mean, I guess a free company can always come together and just buy the house. You just have to... I guess what I'm saying is... Be careful who you do that with. Don't just join a random free company because the guy says he wants to make a house and then he starts collecting people's gil. You might have your gil stolen like that. Just be very careful, guys. In before people steal money for free company houses and then change servers. Just saying. Can you place a strategy desk in your house like the ones found in Coerthus? Yes, they are planning on implementing that. Will be able to change the wallpaper and flooring designs? Simple answer, yes. Will there be interesting furniture, such as lights you can turn on and off, cabinets you can open and close? Simple answer, yes. Some of these are really easy answers. will be able to place an aquarium. They do not have plans for it. They, however, are going to pass it along to the person at the head of development for housing. When will individual housing be implemented? This actually I was interested in be about half a year after patch 2.1. So based on the amount of time it takes between patches, I'd assume patch 2.3 is about a time that we can expect that. So be looking forward to individual housing, guys. And that was actually the end of the live letter. Pretty much everything else was wasn't put on the official forums. Luckily, however, we do have Reinhardt's official translations to go through. I just have to locate them extremely quickly. Here we go. So they pretty much spent almost their entire time on housing. It was unbelievable how much time they spent on it. But they did want to confirm a few things. One, that the Lightning Fate is confirmed for November 14th of 2013. They'll have it up then. They also confirmed that that there's going to be a few other things. They're going to have ringtones for your phone, pretty much, like victory noises and fate joining noises. I don't know if I can do that in public yet. But then again, how often do I leave the house? So I don't think anyone's going to be, I'm not going to be at an Applebee's and somebody's going to be like, yo, you play Final Fantasy 14? I heard your ringtone. I don't know about that. Libre Eorzea is coming to the Android in November, which is very good because I was hoping to have it already because I hate having to take my family members' iPads. Also, they're going to be doing a community contest for those of you who don't know. We have to take awesome pictures for All Saints Wake in your ghost costumes. Just take some awesome pictures and you should be entered to win a community contest. We don't know the exact details, but they'll probably be here by the time this video is posted, to be honest. They'll probably have the details, so I'll do what I can to include those in the description below, a link to it. That would be really cool. They also wanted to remind people that the Cactar and Bomb earrings are available in the main cities and that you can buy them for 1 gil. The locations are on the Final Fantasy 14 website. If you need them, please send me a message on Facebook or tweet me over at Twitter to ask me where they are. I'll be sure to link you to the earrings. So they didn't talk about content for 2.1 that much, just that there's going to be another live letter next month, mid-November, where they will talk about all of those things. There really wasn't much going. There's just so much housing talk. I was just waiting for it to be over so we could get some talk about 2.1. But they are waiting for 2.1 to be a little bit closer before they tease the content, it seems. So we're just going to have to wait for that. Some other things that weren't mentioned, they did tease the new artifact gear that will be coming in 2.2. All I got to say is Bard still have 2 different color pants, so we're all good. We're all good. Colorblind, I approve. We're awesome with that. Anyway, so that's pretty much all there was. It was just a lot of housing talk. I was a little bit disappointed, but overall, housing is a big deal to a lot of people, so hopefully you found some of those details useful. I'll include a link to both Reinhardt's live translation as well as the letter from the producer link on the official forum, so I'll provide both those links in the description below. If you like this video, please be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share to let people know what was going on in 2.0, or what's going to be coming on with all this housing in 2.1. My opinions on it. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, it looks like I'm gonna be having a lot of fun playing with the stuff in the house. Hopefully, we can get some of those additional features that people were asking about, such as the games and things like that. But I'm cool with the housing as it is. I can't wait for the next live letter to hear more about the content in 2.1, dailies, PvP, all that good stuff. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter for regular updates about these sort of things, about live letters, about when certain people are going live, such as Reinhardt himself. I always tweet that out whenever he's going live, and I post links to his Twitch. Definitely, again, be sure to support him. He is a great asset to our community. I don't know what we'd do without him. We'd probably sit around waiting for a week to get official word about a lot of these things. Other than that, that's all I really have to say. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I do have a streaming schedule Sundays and Wednesdays from noon to 5:30 p.m. EST. Working on that, trying to get that set in stone. But anyway, guys, again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.